One of our models is on well-being, disability and enhancement. As the title indicates, it has these three parts. It will start with this very large philosophical question of what makes for a good life. Is there such a thing? Can we assess some lives as better than others? Is a good life one that is full of happiness, or maybe achievement and knowledge? Maybe it's satisfying one's desire. So we will cover the key philosophical theories, both classical and contemporary, of trying to answer this question of what would make for a good life or a flourishing life. And we'll also look at the kind of scientific work that people have tried to do, of trying to develop rigorous measures of quality of life. And those quite lofty philosophical questions have very concrete and ethical implications in medicine or allocation of resources. Can we assess that some medical treatments are more effective because they lead to higher quality of life? So the large philosophical question will be studied, as well as the very concrete implications of them. And then we'll turn to a very controversial context in which this question can be applied, the issue of disability. So is disability something that is a disadvantage, a kind of something akin to disease that needs to be prevented and cured, as a lot of medical practice assumes? Or is it something that's just a difference, like gender or race, which doesn't really affect quality of life in any significant way beyond prejudice and injustice that might discriminate against disabled people? So that is a view that many disabled people hold, and there's some interesting empirical evidence that seems to support that view, that disability is not an inherent disadvantage, but more of a kind of a difference. So we will examine these very opposing views of disability and assess them and see what implications they have for medical and everyday practice. Would it be ever justified to use reproductive technologies to create a disabled child, as some disabled couples want to do? Is that something that could be justified? Or maybe we should use such technologies to prevent any disabled people from coming to existence, maybe use it to prevent children with Down syndrome from being born. Would that be the way to go? So these different questions about well-being and the nature of disability would affect our answers to those quite urgent and controversial issues. And in the final part of this model, we'll look at this issue of human enhancement. So not curing people with various abnormalities or disorders, but using advances in science and technology to take healthy, normal humans and make them even smarter, even healthier, live much longer lives, maybe make them even more moral, more happy, not for medical purposes, but for purposes of enhancement. Is that an ethically wise thing to do, or an incredibly dangerous thing? Could we divide humanity into a race of superhumans or transhumans, as some people say, and others who will remain normal and inferior in some way? What are the ethical constraints on using technologies in all of these disturbing and maybe exciting ways? So we will assess that quite thoroughly, looking on both sides of the debate, and ask whether those kind of questions about transforming human nature actually tell us something deep about what's valuable about human nature and human life.